back of our minds, there was this one big hole in our recorded repertoire, and that was these 3 King of Prussia quartets. And I think to some extent, we wanted to wait to do these pieces later. They are so demanding in a way unlike any other music that I know that we play.
They're very virtuosic to begin with. That's a given. That's a given anyway with Mozart. And what you see in these 3 quartets is just an incredible ease of writing.
They're made out of a fabric that is so easily torn, almost like looking at incredibly perfect jewel that you would just stare at and watch it glitter. And any kind of imperfection that you might bring to that, like scratching the surface of that beautiful precious diamond or whatever, that's how you feel when you're playing. You just, in a way, you don't want to interfere with the perfection of it.
We have to look at it in the context of all of Mozart's work as being on the late side. And in terms of his quartet output, I would characterize this music somewhat differently from the 6 quartets that he dedicated to Haydn, which were written a few years earlier. The first and most obvious difference is the greater prominence given to the cello.
The evolution of the cello in chamber music would not be complete, or maybe would not even be where it is today, without Mozart having written these 3 incredible quartets for the King of Prussia, who was an amateur cellist. So the cello parts in these 3 quartets are dauntingly difficult.
What's interesting having the cello play many of the solos up high is that he then has the viola often, or sometimes the second violin, play the bass line. So the roles are switched and the quartet is kind of turned upside down.
When we record Mozart, we're trying to do justice to what we think is the emotional message of each movement, or even each part of every movement.
These scores of Mozart, especially these late quartets, have almost nothing written in them. You have to break through that and get back to the humor and the spirit, balancing that with the refinement and the purity and the perfection of his creations. It's ironic in a way that our first recording with our new label, Sony, is music that's really quite a ways back in time, and music that we've played since the beginning of our career. But I really do feel that this is the right time to record these pieces.
I hope that when people hear these recordings of the quartets, they appreciate the magnitude of Mozart's genius at this point in his life.
I think that these 3 quartets all represent the buoyant side of Mozart. The surface is beguiling and beautiful, but there's a lot of depth beneath that surface.
It's important to project that this music is alive, that this music means something. People have to realize that this music was composed by a person that lived, that suffered, but was gifted with this ability to make music and to be able to write music with this incredible fluidity.
That's the kind of thing that we're trying to do with our recording, and I think for Mozart to bring you into his world, again, to hold the diamond there and for the 4 of us to hold it for our listeners to really look at closely and appreciate in a way that you never get to do in a performance. And a performance is like walking through the museum and it's behind glass and you have to step back here and you kind of see it. Oh yeah, it looks nice. But now we're actually saying, don't just come and look at it here. Hold this in your hand and sit with it for a while and experience it the way we do.